and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. This week we've been looking at what I'm calling Ephesians' greatest hits, some of the most meaningful and beautiful verses you can find in Ephesians. And today we're looking at Ephesians chapter 2, verse 13, which says, "But now in Christ Jesus, you who were once far off have been brought near by the blood of Christ." In the time when Ephesians was written, the world was on the move. The community of Jews had spread all over the Roman Empire, and most cities had a pretty good number of Jews in them. This scattering was called the diaspora, and while they had homes in these cities, they still felt far from the real home of their hearts, Israel. Some of those Jews had become Christians and made up part of the early Christian church. For Gentiles all over the Roman Empire, it might have been even worse. Most might be able to say that they were far from their homeland, but in that time, it was understood that Jews were God's chosen people and they were not. Well, the early church was made up of some of these Gentiles as well. So they were excluded from that understanding. You might say they understood they were far removed from God. Today can feel a little bit like that too for us, as we are isolated from each other, from the world as we know it, and even from church attendance right now. As it drags on and on, we can feel further and further away from God and further away from each other. But then come the words of Ephesians 2:13. "But now in Christ Jesus, you who were once far off have been brought near by the blood of Christ." It's hard to think of words more comforting to them when they were written. It's hard to think of words more comforting for us now. We have been brought near to God. We belong. We can feel God's embrace. As God says in Isaiah, "I have called you by name, and you are mine." Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.